The second principle of trading is that when you have a spatial disadvantage, it's good to trade. If your position is cramped, trading pieces will relieve your pressure. On the other hand, when the opponent is cramped, you want to increase pressure without allowing the liberation of exchanges. Here you can see that white has a huge spatial advantage and total central domination. Black has wasted a lot of time on flank moves, and now white is in control. Put yourself in black's shoes for a second. It's very hard to find a path of action. White, on the other hand, can easily develop with moves like bishop e3, bishop d3, castles, queen e2, rook a to e1, f5, etc. One of the biggest pluses of white's position is that he can develop freely while black is cramped. Now, imagine if black could trade kingside knights. Now take off the queenside knights. Suddenly black is gaining breathing room, and white's advantage is shrinking. So, when you have a spatial advantage, you want to increase pressure and avoid most exchanges. When you are defending positions with a spatial disadvantage, on the other hand, obviously the reverse holds true. You want to trade down as much as possible. Okay, the third principle of trading. When an exchange will make one of your surviving pieces more powerful, it's usually a good one. For example, you've already learned about good bishops and bad bishops. While sometimes trading off your opponent's last knight will make his bad bishop even worse. This is the type of situation we're looking for. So we've already seen some examples of this type of strategical trading. Here's another one. Here black has a huge hole in his position, the e6 square. It's white to move. What would you play? White's best move is bishop h3, and suddenly white's position becomes completely dominant. Now take a look at this exercise. Black to move. What would you do? The correct move is bishop g4. The fourth principle of trading is pretty straightforward, when you'll be getting rid of a very powerful piece of the opponent. Like in this exercise, it's white's move. Here black's knight on e3 is a thorn in white's side. The top priority should be to get rid of this powerful piece. What would you do? You have to calculate several moves ahead here. Here there are two possible solutions. Either move the queen, say to c1, and then play knight b1 to d2 to f1, trading off the knight on f1 for the knight on e3, getting rid of black's strong piece. Or you could play a4 on the first move, followed by knight a3 to c2. Personally, I prefer the first alternative because it doesn't further weaken white's pawn structure. By playing a4, you create another hole on b4. But the most important thing is to recognize the need to drive out the black knight. Okay, you're about to jump into the mastery quiz, but first let's review the 4 principles of trading. First of all, you trade down when you're ahead in material. The more material that comes off, the bigger your advantage gets. Next, you trade off when you have a spatial disadvantage. If your opponent is crunching down on you, by trading off pieces, you relieve the pressure on your position. Third, you trade when an exchange will make one of your surviving pieces more powerful. For example, when trading bishop for knight, will leave you with a position with a very strong knight against a bad bishop of your opponent's. And fourth, you trade when you'll be getting rid of a very powerful piece of your opponent. Now, on to the mastery quiz.